Howdy folks, I'm Luke, and I'm back with another Avem Empire airship showcase. The subject of today's video is His Majesty's assault ship Resolution, the second Avem airship I made, and one of my favorites to this day. I started on Resolution the day after independence, on July 12th, 2020, and the ship almost immediately reached its final form. I can't describe how it happened, but I just had in my mind a vision that flowed into FtD so perfectly. I knew I wanted an airship that could keep nearly all of its guns on target throughout an attack run, so I eschewed the typical fore and aft superfiring that works on ships, and took advantage of the unique abilities of airships to have guns on all sides. At the heart of Resolution is her double-ended 400mm main guns, which happily fire high explosive shells at 30 RPM forward, backward, up, down, and even out to the broadside. Resolution's unique turret design is something I'm not sure I've seen elsewhere, yet something I utterly adore for its unique look and pragmatic functionality. Next up in the gun department is her pair of forward belt-fed cannons. These 6-barreled APS fire 100mm solid bow shells at 250 RPM, at least as long as the clips stay full. With wide open firing arcs from the bow of the airship, the ventral gun can stay on target no matter how Resolution maneuvers, with the dorsal one not far off. An airship that does attack runs would be foolish not to carry some gravitationally delivered ordnance, so Resolution has a large bomb bay in the otherwise empty space between the two sets of APS. 4 max gauge crams with 3D 3x3 Tetris form the core of the bay, with a line of a dozen magnetic mines on either side to make sure that something hits if all the cram shells whiff, as they often do. The mines are half 180-degree frag and half ballasted high explosive, a happy compromise of damage types to work well on any target. Abreast the ship's dorsal spine, you'll find 2 twin simple weapon casemates, which are actually playing the role of sea-wids, designed primarily to intercept cram volleys from the crossbones or the like. On top of the spine are a pair of quad 40mm simple AA guns, as much there for aesthetics as functionality, with another pair of twin 40mm abreast the ship's monolithic superstructure. These were a late addition to the design, added when I widened the base of the double-ended APS to improve their firing arcs forward and aft. Now that the weapons are spoken for, let's get to the other details. Resolution travels just faster than the fleet standard speed of 50 meters a second, with a 40 meters a second cruising speed as well. Since that is true for all of my airships, except for the transports which go a bit faster, this is the last time I'll be mentioning it in these videos. Costing just a little above 210,000 mats, and with a volume a little under 10k, Resolution is a light cruiser by size, but her weapons and configuration let her punch well above that. Her armor is better than on many of my designs, with full heavy armor around the vital systems aft, half heavy armor on the bow APS, and just an all-or-nothing metal and alloy armor scheme on the rest of the hull. The ship's internal layout is optimized for survivability, with the vital engines, AI, and ammo tucked conveniently behind the central guns, and her lift distributed throughout several compartments. The lift jets are also placed at the top of the hull, reducing the chance of getting stuck in the water, a feature that will frequently be reused in later designs. This whole setup here means that she's pretty durable given that she only rarely shows anything but her bow and stern to a target, so there's a ton of spaced and ablative armor on the ends that's just guarding nothing that helps to protect the ship. Resolution's dense bomb bay also serves as some inadvertent aim point spoofing, drawing fire to a non-essential section insulated from the ship's other weapons by empty spaces. The 3-meter thick metal spine that runs along the ship's forward half has saved her from being cut in half many times in testing, being all that remains once the bomb bay or adjacent hull sections have been completely destroyed. In a good fight, Resolution can keep flying and fighting below 50% health, but she does have downsides. That durability is no guarantee, with the ship's lack of redundant AI or engines meaning that a good shell penetration can sink her at 99% health. While she does have EMP protection, added years after her launch, it's not foolproof, and there's no smoke or shields to slow a laser attack, nor spaced armor to protect from heat or HESH. These issues are common in my fleet, for it is designed to fight a navy comparable to itself in weapon types. What's not common though is the armor scheme around the main gun. I have tried for literally years to proof the center guns against explosive clipping, but to no avail. The current long necks clipped through heavy armor ducts is the best I've managed, but it may still get destroyed every few fights without the ducts having even been damaged. As you've been seeing from the combat footage though, Resolution still thrives more often than not. In the aesthetics department, Resolution certainly does more with less. Out of the ship's somewhat substantial 858 total decos, 256 are in just the propellers, and another 423 make up the ship's 9 eagle emblems, leaving less than 200 decos on the main hull itself. Without rigging or a wooden deck to put greebles on, Resolution's aesthetics are entirely carried by her hull form and superstructure, and that's what makes her special and keeps her on par with my much more detailed later designs. Starting from the bow, Resolution has a distinctive singular point tipped in a golden ram, different from the 2 ram points typical on other later craft. A small crew station is behind it, allowing a few brave souls to con the ship from the closest possible point when trying to line up a ram or bombing run. Note as well the prevalence of gold-painted metal, indicative of an early Avem Empire design. The front autocannons have exposed vertical recoil absorbers, in what started as a quick solution to a lack of forethought, but turned out to be aesthetically valuable, and not that much of a combat liability. Further aft, but before the superstructure, you can note the ship's name and motto, placed on pretty much the only flat sides big enough to accommodate them. The hull work in this area is exactly as much as is needed to hold the weapons and partially cradle the hull, and nothing more. That is the quintessential style of my decklist designs. The bridge is intentionally blocky and brutish, jutting up from the gas bag without preamble, and conveniently connecting to the barbettes of the center guns down the sides. The bridge wings are there only to break up the structure vertically, and because bridge wings are cool. The superstructure accommodates most of the craft's detection and flies the Avem flag atop its highest point. Behind the bridge are side-by-side funnels, because I could, and a flat radiator deck behind it, because I felt like something more was needed, but I didn't know what. The side frame progresses straight back and splits to provide mounts for the 4 counter-rotating propeller shafts. The rear has very little metal framing on it, lending a slightly front-heavy look to Resolution, thus only partly counterbalanced by the aft of center, superstructure, and main cannons. Now for the lore! HMAS Resolution was constructed in Tallinn by the city's renowned ironworks, and under the supervision of her foremost naval architect. She was intended from the start to be the flagship that would revitalize Tallinn's military relevance for the next war. The largest ship built by Tallinn since the Unification War, Resolution was crafted at a high level of classification to keep her specifics from reaching both hostile nations as well as the broader Avem Empire. Her main weapons breached the post-Unification War treaty, prohibiting Tallinn from constructing vessels with guns in excess of 200 millimeters. But the empire that restricted her would soon appreciate Tallinn's subterfuge and forethought. To quote the city head councilman about Resolution's design, "She is designed to hunt any ship or airship that might threaten us, with a pair of battleship guns for engaging at long range, while she closes to use her reinforced ram or bomb bay to finish off her targets at point blank." While his statement was met with apprehension by those doubting Tallinn's loyalty, Resolution served as an excellent flagship for Commodore Alcor, up through the raising of Hakkar and the exit of the Jezrin Kingdom from the war. Her name and motto, Ad Amara Finem, meaning to the bitter end, held true as she racked up bomb, cannon, and ram kills throughout her service. Furthermore, Resolution was the vessel from whence Alcor and his crew eventually learned the ultimate truth about the war they were fighting, but further details about that would spoil a few things, so I'll end her lore here. Resolution is genuinely a joy to use and one of the best ships of the fleet. She may not have the detailed rigging of Kindred Spirit, the oversized guns of Arbiter, or the incredible animations of Constellation, but her iconic silhouette and smooth yet brutish hull forever appeal to me in a way that none of my later flying battleships and cruisers can replicate. While Iron Sky, Unity, Dauntless, and Excellence imitate real ships from our world, Resolution stands apart, a design purely of the Avem Empire with no predecessors and no imitations. I know I couldn't create a ship like Resolution again, for it's a creation of an imagination untainted by the knowledge and expectations of every ship that followed. Thank you for watching. See you next time. What do you mean I should autocorrect it to reading? Don't you know that, like, words can get spoken and then paired with video on a screen? Are you that stuck in book mode, Google Docs?